Podcast, episode 890. We walk down carefully.
And welcome everyone to the MyMac.com podcast. And this week is going to be just a little bit different as I wave my hands around mystically, because that's what I do on an audio podcast that you can't see unless you go all the way over to YouTube and look at it there. Now, Gaz is off doing fun stuff, and so he's left me all on my own, which is a dangerous proposition no matter how you look at it. However, I was also smart for once and invited David Ginsburg from the In Touch with iOS podcast to join in and give me his thoughts on the upcoming WWDC while still some time away, words are hard, hasn't stopped people from talking about it. Hello, David. How are you, sir?
Hello, Guy. Thank you for having me back on the show. It's been a while.
It has been a while. Well, you know, for a long time, we kind of solicited to have other people come on the show, but it can be difficult because, of course, Gaz, depending on the time of year, Gaz is 4 to 5 hours ahead.
Right.
And then whatever craziness that I might have going on the weekends, and then throw in just general weirdness in general. And it can be difficult to get other people in sync with what it is that you're trying to do, especially on a long running podcast. But if one of us are gone, and more on that in just a minute, then it's a lot easier because we can just reach out to someone, hopefully, and ask them to come on. And it's not a coordination between 3 people, but just like always, just 2 people. And I have to say, it's weird recording this show with someone that doesn't have a British accent, because I'm so used to that.
I don't think I could do it, but
no, you really can't.
No.
It would be like me trying to do a French accent for the entire time, and I just couldn't do it. Number one, my accents are quite honestly dreadful. It doesn't stop me from doing them, and it probably doesn't stop people from those places from being offended. But it's like, hey, come on, we're just having a good time here. I don't know what you want from me. So the thing that we're going to talk about, and we'll get into that after the break, is WWDC, which is why the title of the show was We Walk Down Carefully, because if you put the first letters of those together, it's so very cleverly, wow, so clever, spells out WWDC. And this is something that I do every single year. So I have 365 days, Dave. Yeah, it's like, words are hard to come up with something that I can use with WWDC. And I actually sent you like a list of them earlier. And this is the one that you selected. So if anyone doesn't like it, you can blame Dave.
Okay, you can blame me. That's fine.
Yeah. That works out really, really well. But as far as what's going on now, just before we started recording, you were telling me about, and don't go into great detail because I think this is going to be your pick, but the thing that you are wearing on your head right now. Yes. And I have to say, I am like super jealous and envious, because I have been thinking about these. I've actually tweeted about it a couple of times. The very thing that you're wearing on your head.
Yes, I'm wearing a pair of brand new, just came out last week, Rode NTH 100 professional headphones. It's the first pair of headphones that Rode has introduced from the great.
And these are like studio monitors, right? They're like monitors, flat response kind of thing.
Flat, but I mean, they're even great with music too. Yeah, but like I said,
because what a lot of people don't know about headphones is most headphones that you buy are there it is right there. So you're like in a whole like little Rode box today.
I am. I have
you got Rode the microphone,
the pod mic, and I have my Rodecaster Pro, which I'm very proud of having.
Oh, I still want one of those, even though I can't justify getting one, though that hasn't stopped me from most of my purchases in the past.
Well, your mics, but that's
I'm trying to get better about that. I'm not doing that well, but I do try. I do try to get better about that.
Well, I am bad with headphones. I'm looking at least two, maybe three of them in this room right now, besides my AirPods. So,
Okay, well, believe me, that is probably no. Actually, let me think about that. That's probably just about as expensive, if not more so, than microphones.
yeah.
And the crazy thing about headphones is, like microphones, there are so many different ways that manufacturers can set up headphones and have them set in such a way that is going to appeal to a certain audience. And when I'm editing this podcast, I'm either doing it through actual, JBL studio monitors that I have, or if I'm doing it through headphones, I've got some Sony MDR 7506 headphones, which Tim Robertson of MyMac.com recommended many, many, many years ago. But so many people have been talking about the NTH 100s from Rode.
Yeah, there's tons of YouTube. There's tons of YouTube videos out there already.
I know.
I may even do one too, because just do a hands-on video, just to do it. But yeah, there is.
So what I want to check is I want to see what the frequency response, not so much the range, but the response across the line. Because I'm looking for, because the Sony 7506s are relatively flat. So what you're hearing through the headphones is the actual sound as it was recorded. And when you're doing audio editing, that's very, very important, as compared to, like, if you get some Bose, or if you get some I'm blanking on it, from Apple. The
AirPods
Beats.
Max.
The Beats. If you get some Beats headphones,
Beats,
these are typically tuned to provide a higher bass response, which is fine because a lot of music is tuned to that. But if you're editing, you need something that's relatively flat. And this is not the Guy Talks About Headphones or Microphones show, but apparently it has turned into that. How odd. Very odd.
So if you want to save it for when I do my review, we could do that too. But
sure. About a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, I bought this cheap desk that is going to fit underneath one of my old desks here behind me. And again, it's an audio show, so people can't see me pointing, but I am pointing. Go over to YouTube if you want to see audio of me pointing. There I go. Wow. So I bought a desk or a dresser that I could fit under these desks, because I'm trying to get some kind of organization of just all the stuff that I have in this room. And Dave can see that, just the piles of stuff that are behind me.
You were here in my office. I have piles of stuff everywhere too, so you're not alone.
Yeah. Well, the man cave here at Guy Searle Central is actually, it's a little bit bigger than the room that you have. However, it's not, because my wife also uses this room as a storage room. So we have broken chairs that she won't get rid of. We have old doll cradles that are in various stages of disrepair that have, 50, 60 years old. Honestly, it's mostly kindling at this point, but it's like, you can't really suggest that. So there's even less room in here than there is in your room, just because of all the extra stuff that's here. So I got this cheap desk that would fit underneath one of the desks, cheap dresser that would fit underneath one of the desks. And it came, and it's basically, it's just one of those that has like the cloth drawers with the cardboard bottom, It's super cheap. It's like nothing to it, but it'll hold stuff. That's what I needed for, just to hold stuff.
Yep.
Well, it came, and I started to put it together, and I made one big mistake. And that was, I didn't check to see if all the pieces were there before I started to build it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found, the center support that holds the whole damn thing together was missing.
Oh.
And without that center support, you've just got like these like
Mush.
cloth little dressers or little drawers. Thank you. That won't stay where they're supposed to be. And if you put stuff in them, it'll be spilling all over the place. And it's like, no,
It'll collapse.
yeah. And this was one of those times when I was really glad I did get it from Amazon because their return policy is very, very generous.
Mm-hmm.
Contacted them and they gave me, a return, an RMA to return it. And the weird thing about the return was they had me send it to this UPS store that's over in a different part of the town where I live, which normally would be fine. But just down the street from there was an Amazon Fresh store.
Mm.
So it's like, why couldn't you just have me take it there? But it's like, okay. So I took it back. And the company that sold it contacted me and was like, oh, well, we want to make this right and all the rest of it. It's like, it's fine. Just send me one that has the center support.
Oh, exactly.
And we're good. And I had it in like 3 days. It got here toot sweet. So, and the whole time they're like, you're not mad at us. You're not going to give us a bad review. It's like, no, guys.
Oh my gosh.
It happens, relax. I'm not upset. It happens. Just one of those things. Yeah. And if that's the worst thing that happens to me during the week, it's still a good week, let it go.
Yeah.
I'm not upset. I'm not angry. So I put it together and I still don't have it here in the room, but that's going to be like one of my projects for this weekend.
You need to share the link. We have to check this handy dandy drawers out.
Yeah. It's like a $70 cheap piece of crap, but sure, I'll
it's a lot for a cheap piece of crap.
It is, but we're in these weird days right now, especially when you're talking about supply chain.
Yeah, true.
That things that, and I'm guessing this would have probably cost well under $50 2 to 3 years ago, but things are different now. So it's not even about inflation. It's just about how do we get stuff from A to B? And that's the big question right now. And with certain products, it's just really, really hard.
Sure. But
to get off that subject onto something a little more fun, now that I've been talking about it for about 10 minutes, I don't know why, but I was. I'm not going to be on the show next week, Dave.
Oh, no.
I know. It's going to be Gaz and somebody else. You should talk to him, see if you can get on with him, too. You could be the guest host for 2 weeks in a row. He'll probably get with Carl or somebody. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's even assuming that
up to him
that he's going to be able to do it at all. He's off on vacay right now with his wife. Well, next Thursday, I am driving all the way down to Birmingham, Alabama, to see the very first USFL football game between the New Jersey Generals and the Birmingham Stallions. And I'm laughing because all of their games this year are going to be played in Birmingham. And the game is going to be on Fox on Saturday night. So if you think about it, go to Fox on Saturday, watch the game, and look for me. I'll be in probably like a black T-shirt that has the old Washington Federals, which was another USFL team from the 80s that I'm going to be wearing while I'm there. So, and I'll be the big tall guy with the funny looking hair and bald. Yeah, you really can't. There'll be all these people down here, and then I'll be way up here. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm really looking forward to it. Even though it's like such a stupid reason to go on a trip, but I just wanted to get out of town and do something. I didn't even really particularly care where it was I was going. I just didn't want to be here. So that's kind of what I'm going with. I think we're gonna just go right ahead and go over into. I don't have his music, unfortunately. Gaz's snippets. That's all I got for Gaz's snippets. He's got something else. So, Apple released a little bit of information, maybe accidentally on purpose, through their website because it was up for just a few minutes and then it disappeared. But through the glorious power of people with absolutely more time in their hands than they probably should, someone saw it and captured it, and it was for a dual USB-C power adapter, according to this released and then quickly snatched back document. Input 100 to 240 volts, so it's good worldwide. 1 amp output 1 to be one output 1 or 2, either 5 volts DC at 3 amps or 9 volts DC at 3 amps, or 15 volts DC at 2.3 amps or 20 volts DC at 1.75 amps. So literally, this could pretty much quick charge almost anything that Apple has out there.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of Gantt chargers out there as it is anyway. So,
I've got a couple.
I do as well.
I've got a couple of multiple USB.
GAN.
Yeah. Multiple USB output chargers that I use. Like, for example, when I'm leaving on this trip, I've got one that's got like 4 outputs because I need one for the laptop, I need one for the iPad, I need one for the watch, and I need one for the phone. So, and to be able to carry just one device to do all that at the same time is a great help. This is kind of weird, and I don't really know what I think about this. Twitter is weird.
That's true,
Dave. I think
plenty of weird.
I can say that without fear of contradiction, that Twitter is weird. Well, they are experimenting. Some users are receiving what's being called unmentioning, not deleting, not editing, unmentioning. And this removes the ability to receive further notifications and direct links from a tweet that has you mentioned in it. So if somebody had a tweet and it said, David Ginsburg, along with, at Mac Parrot, did the MyMac.com podcast this week. Well, if I had this ability, I could not remove my name. My name would still be there, but it wouldn't be linked, and I wouldn't receive any further notifications on anybody talking about it.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. What is the point of that? Other than, if you're someone famous, you're William Shatner, and you get mentioned on some tweet, and it follows along this long conversation, people talking and replying and all the rest of that, and you get notifications each time for this, and you're like, ugh, I don't want to hear about this. So you could have it unmention you, and your name would still be there, but it wouldn't be a direct link, and you wouldn't be able to reply to it directly through Twitter's normal ways. It's just, why don't just, Twitter, just give us the ability to edit our tweets, and you can even put a time limit on it. Put like a 5-minute freaking time limit on it so that people can't say, oh, I shouldn't have said that, and get rid of it or change it. But just make it so that we can do quick and fast edits if we screw up spelling or something along those lines. But they don't.
I mean, Facebook's had it for a long time. I have in my Facebook feed set that if someone mentions me, I want to make sure I have control of whether I want it to be mentioned, and if it continues on with the discussion later.
Ad nauseum. Yeah.
And it's like tagging you in a post, tagging you on a photo or whatever. So you get that long list of stuff, and I say, okay, that's fine. Okay, I don't. This one guy kept tagging me on his advertisements because he does a booklet. I said it was a friend, but I had to just basically I kept saying no, I don't want to be tagged in your it's like those mailers you get in the mail that he does those things, and it's fine. It's harmless advertising, but I don't want to be mentioned on it. So it's not my thing. That's your advertising. I don't want to be pulled into it. So I finally had to reach out to him and said, privately,
please take us off. Yeah.
Please just remove me from this. I really prefer not to be mentioned anymore. The penny saver or some of those, one of those types of
oh my God, penny saver.
Yeah. Whatever I forget the name of I forget what it's called. Some those
H green stamps.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a good thing, I think, in the fact that some people may not want to be mentioned on Twitter, and you don't have control if someone mentions it. I mean, you're stuck, and There are people that are scouring Twitter all the time. Which I don't mind. This one one guy, when he sees some interesting things that I'm posting on Twitter, whether like a story like this or something else, and I do enough of it, he kind of summarizes it for all these folks that have made some good mentions. So I think he uses paper.il, I think it is, that brings it aggregates all this great information that happened, that was mentioned that week, and shout you out saying, hey, you were doing this. So I think this is actually something Twitter really should do. I mean, just like being able to,
or should have already done.
I should have already done, and also being able to edit a tweet. I know that they've been talking about that for years too. Well, now you got Elon Musk on their board, and he owns 9% of the company.
Yeah. Oh, so many people upset about that.
They're not happy,
especially people that actually work for Twitter. It's like, just relax.
He's on the board now.
Changed yet? Just wait and see what happens. The fact that you don't like him for reasons, doesn't mean that he's going to necessarily do anything. And if worst comes to worst, go find another job.
Yeah, if you're not happy.
Yeah, go find another job. No big deal. Last night was the debut of MLB Baseball Friday Night on Apple TV. Did you watch any of it, Dave?
I did. I was interested to watch to see how technology was going to be in baseball, because MLB, they're good. They're good with their stuff, but then you got the local stations around the country. Well, for me, I'm a Chicago Cubs fan. They have Marquee Sports Network that's dedicated to the Cubs. They're doing okay, but they have made it easier to see the games as long as you have a cable subscription. But yeah, I started noticing right away the differences. First off, the announcers, it was a very mix of female and male announcers. There was a female play-by-play announcer, which was very unusual, which was great. I loved it. I think that was
honestly, that was one of the things that a lot of people were complaining. Not so much that it was a female announcer, but the announcers in general. And I watched a little bit of it.
Yeah, because it was your local team. It was the Washington Nationals.
It was the Nationals were the first
and the Mets, the New York Mets.
And there was a big delay because there was I guess somebody got pinged with a ball, and it almost led to like a bench clearing kind of thing. So
yeah,
the pitcher ended up getting thrown out of the game, and then by the time they kind of let tempers cool down, it was like 15, 20 minutes before the next pitch was done. And because there's no commercials, there's no breaks. Basically, the announcers had to sit there for 15 or 20 minutes and just make, snappy patter back and forth waiting for the game to start again.
They're new. I mean,
they are new.
I think it's going to be something. They've got a couple different crews of announcers that are going to be doing the games. So, I mean, I think it's refreshing to see a different approach to how to broadcast a baseball game. The other thing I noticed, which was really awesome, is the stats that you see on the right corner. The probability of this person's going to get a hit. The probability of what percentage of his RBIs. Just giving those little
next gen stats, real quick.
Yeah. And I'm sure they're pulling it out from the databases that they've been using for years for all this stuff, which was really cool. I think it was a Bell who was from the Nationals who hit the home run earlier in the game. It showed him his probability of his home runs, and I think it was like at that point, because they're measuring it based on when what part of the count was when he was going to hit it. So and he did hit one. Other thing too is this year the catchers and pitchers have that new device that sits on the catcher's pad, where he can send the signals, and there's a little thing inside the pitcher's hat that he can hear them. Yeah, that they're starting to use that this year. This is a new technology, and I think some catchers are kind of I don't like this, but I think with the whole controversy with the Astros, with the Astros and sign stealing. But let's face it. I mean, come on, signs using fingers and doing that's so old school. I mean, this is I watched a baseball game in the 1950s. That's how baseball really is supposed to be.
Hell, that's not even like 20. That's like 19th century technology. Yeah. So we can kind of go beyond that.
No, I guess we can probably go back when baseball first started in 1870.
Yeah, 1979 Abner Doubleday.
Yeah. So yeah, there was. I was actually. It was. Actually, I was watching the game, one of the Yankees game through MLB, and they showed it. It's just a little pad that sits on the knee portion of the pad, and the catcher just pushes whatever he's going to give the signal to the pitcher, and it goes right in. The pitcher has it in his hat.
That's actually kind of cool.
Yes, so cool new technologies. The other thing too, I'm still getting used to is since I'm a National League fan to the DH.
Oh, well, honestly, I don't watch a whole lot of baseball. I'm not a huge baseball fan, but I did tune in to kind of see how it was going to look and what they were doing. And one thing that I noticed right away is the actual video quality was outstanding. It was beautiful.
Oh, that's what I mean. That's the other thing I noticed. The video definitely. And I've got a small, my TV here in my room here.
Yeah,
it's 32-inch TV. It's small. It's good quality, but it's not 4K. It's not 4K. But the picture was just crystal clear. It was phenomenal. Even I'm watching it on the iPhone. I want to get the experience of the iPhone and the iPad too.
Oh, I didn't think to do that.
Yeah, it was pretty phenomenal. 13 Pro Max. It has an amazing screen as it is, and it really was just, I'm very impressed. I'm glad. I had a feeling. I knew that was going to happen. I mean, Apple doesn't mess around when it comes to this. So plus now I think you can see it free. You don't have to be an Apple TV Plus subscriber just yet. They're offering, I think, the first week or two that you can start watching some of the games.
So, but I mean, there were no. I mean, because I didn't watch the entire game, but there were no ads, right?
I don't think so, or other than maybe advertising some of the Apple stuff. But
that's kind of what I was thinking. If you've got, especially like you've got the seventh inning stretch and things like that, where you have 5 to 15 minutes of time to fill before the game starts again,
right?
Why not say, hey, after the game is over, come and watch Coda, or where no man has gone before, or whatever the latest Apple shows are.
I can't confirm there was any ads, but I know there was a delay in that game. I don't know if it was because of that brawl, but they did cut over to some other games that were on MLB.TV. They were showing the highlights and actual live footage from those games too. So, but you definitely could tell the difference because that's not the cameras that they're using, at the games that Apple TV Plus is using. And they're pro, man. They got the microphones. It says Apple TV Plus Friday Night Baseball right on their microphone moniker. So they've gone all in with this.
I'm sure they've spent a lot of money to do.
Well, they did. We knew that. Yeah, that was it was big.
I would love to see what they would do with football. And here's the thing. And we're going to get off this topic in such a minute. We spent more time on this than I really thought we were going to.
But it's more the technology. So I'm glad we were able to just focus on that.
But I would love to see Apple partner up with like the USFL or the XFL or some of the other spring leagues and show some games on Apple TV. I would love to see what they would do with that, because it's unlikely that they're going to get much of a deal from the NFL, simply because there is so much money involved, and so the permissions for who can show what are so diverse and so diluted at this point that it's like, well, what games could you get that somebody would actually want to tune in to see, unless they had some kind of emotional connection to the team, one of the teams that we're playing.
Right.
I mean, if there was a game between Arizona and Seattle, if I had something else to do, I probably wouldn't watch, because I don't care about either one of those teams.
Yep.
So if you could partner up and get some experience with that using one of the lesser known spring leagues, I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Next up, Apple drops out of a privacy trade group for being too cozy with the very tech companies that it's supposed to be protecting consumers from. Law firm DLA Piper, which runs the group, has been accused by some for pushing, shall we say, tech-friendly regulations. The kind of thing where it's like, oh, well, you have been caught doing something that is just terrible. You probably knew it was going to be bad if you ever got caught at it. And you have, you have 2 weeks to make the changes necessary to make that not go on anymore. And that's kind of, and it's kind of an example of what's been going on with, Facebook and Twitter and Parler and some of these other social media groups where they have been caught out doing something that they shouldn't have been doing. And they just sit there and go, oh, sorry, mea culpa. We didn't mean to do that. And it's like, oh, please. Yeah. So, but Apple apparently has decided that being in this group is counterproductive to the message that they want to send in regards to the user protections that they put into their various services. What do you think?
Yeah, and interesting to see that they did this ahead of the Tim Cook. They're going to be headlining in the IAP Global Privacy Summit next week. But no, I definitely see this. I see that privacy is a big, huge thing for Apple, and to be part of this group and for what they do, I think it just was probably a smart move on their part to just step away and continue on what they do best with privacy.
Yep. Next up, companies involved with supplying parts for the iPhone SE, and we're talking about the 3rd gen iPhone SE, right. And AirPods claim that no reduction in requests for parts, even though many analysts claim they have. Like Ming-Chi Kuo, for example, has been...
I covered that.
talking about how, the iPod, blah, 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 and the new iPhone SE just isn't selling, and Apple is cutting back on orders. And the companies that supply the parts for these devices are like, we're not aware of any of this. Don't know where you're getting your information from there, Mr. Analyst. And, I wonder how much of this is analysts trying to get new clients and justify their existence for existing clients by putting out something controversial that they can't really verify, but it sounds good enough to be true.
Yeah, it again, that's the key word is rumor. It's not something that Apple is officially saying. And all these analysts love analyzing all this stuff, and they're getting clicks. People see the headlines, they grab me sometimes, and I take a look at this stuff. They're saying that the SE was dropped, the production is dropped almost 30% because of just the demand isn't there. It's hard to say. Apple doesn't release the numbers, so you can't be confirmed. But I don't see them cutting production. Apple is a company that doesn't want to share this information, and they have no right to have to do that. So
they don't have to.
And the stockholders know how popular they are. We're not going to touch upon this, but just as good a comparison of Samsung. Samsung's in a huge problem right now with their S22. It's like a huge price drop, and they're not the phone that's the top one like Apple has with the iPhone. So I mean, it's just, again, you don't know what the market is until they officially announce that. Until they do that, you just kind of have to take a lot of this stuff with a grain of salt, whether it is or not. I think the SE is doing fine. I mean, it's a good entry level iPhone, and there's plenty of people out there who don't want to spend the big dollars like we do on the iPhone 13, 13 Pro and the Pro Max, which the Pro Max I have, and I always get the Max, and it's it's pricey, but I think I also enjoy it. Yeah,
I got a 13, but prior to having a 13. I had an iPhone SE and the SE2, and they were great phones. I had absolutely no problem with them. They did everything I needed them to do. That's right. I just wanted a slightly bigger screen this time around.
It's people are going to be as far as SEs, they're happy.
Yeah, and it's the phone that if you live in, how to put this without sounding like a condescending jerk. If you live in a country that, let's just say, isn't as well off as some other countries, but you still want an iPhone, the iPhone SE is the perfect phone for you because it still has all of the same Apple goodness as the big boys. Because the new iPhone SE has the A15 processor in it, and it's got a great camera in it. Is it as good as the 13? No. But you're also not spending iPhone 13 money. So, some are reporting odd bugs in the new Apple Studio display, including webcam problems with poor image quality and glitchy center stage performance, which this is kind of embarrassing, seeing how this is a brand new, long time for Apple product segment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's having its issues, especially for something that's as costly as the Studio display.
Yeah, I mean this going back a couple weeks now. The webcam was having a huge problem with the quality. Apple did acknowledge it and said that they're working on a fix for this. If anybody doesn't know, the Studio Display actually runs iOS 15.4 as its operating system. It does have an actual operating system that's running in this screen. So. Yeah, and there's a lot of, it's been mixed reviews for this screen. It's been, some are just saying that this is crazy, it's expensive, and you can easily get a $300 or $400 screen and be just as happy with it. But it does have a lot of great features in it too, with this, with the spatial audio and the speakers, and it's got a lot of other stuff, built-in webcam, the center stage, and there is a lot of tech that they put into this display that. Can justify its little higher cost, because try to add some of the things that you already have on there, especially that's a it's a 1080p camera. So, I'm not surprised that people are still continually talking about this. But Apple will fix this. I just say it's not for everybody. I'm perfectly happy with this.
Hopefully it's a software fix.
I think it is. It sounds like it. That the software glitch just was causing it, but I'm perfectly happy with the big screen I have here, and
I've got two Dell. What are these? S2721 monitors.
They're great. Dell makes great monitors.
Yeah, and I'm not. They're supposedly close to 4K quality, but I don't use it at that resolution. And these are fine for what I do, and they were like $300 to $350 each. So. Happy days for me.
Looks fine.
The last one we have before we hit the break, Apple restores Russian political position app that they and Google removed before a critical vote last September. Little bit of too little too late, but at least it's back up. So what this was an iOS app that of course also worked on the iPad. Mm-hmm. That would list all of the various political people running for office that weren't in the same party as Putin. And essentially, according to the way the story went, some of the executives for Apple that live in Russia were visited by security personnel who made some basically thinly veiled threats in regards to these applications, and not just Apple, but Google as well. And both companies removed the similar apps from each of their stores prior to the elections in September. And Google actually brought theirs back a few weeks after that, and Apple is just now finally getting theirs back in. And, I guess it's like, okay, well, you're kind of thumbing your nose at the authorities in Russia, but at this point, does it really matter other than to say, wow, look what we did, yay. I don't get it. What was the point of doing it now?
With the unrest going on and the war in Ukraine, this absolutely continues to be terrible with this stuff. And Apple and doing this is fine. Why should they go along with the government? This is something that, it's a freedom of speech, freedom of being able to vote whatever you want to vote for. And that's where it makes it difficult to leave things like this and not implemented in place. But, Gorst article also mentions that Apple hasn't shipped any hardware to Russia since February. So they've been pretty much pulled out of the business in there as it is anyway. So, as has many companies. So, again, a little political nature here of this topic, but it's it's fine. I'm glad Apple didn't give in to the government.
Well, I mean, they did before the election, but
before the election they did, but they reversed it, right? But
yeah, it's for at least for now, it's back in there. I don't know how this will work out for any people that are left working for Apple directly that still live in Russia, but I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see.
Yep.
I think that's all I have for this part of the show there, Dave.
Okay.
You ready to take a little break and then we'll come right back?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. So everyone please stand by. And Dave and I, we'll be right back.
I'll be here. Welcome back to the MyMac.com podcast. We are at point 2, and this week it was announced that the Worldwide Developers Conference for Apple is coming in June 6th through June 10th. Apple's annual developer conference returns in a mostly virtual state, scheduled for June 6th through June 10th. Unlike the last 2 years, there will be a small in-person event as well. No major details were announced as what, how, or why, and when the in-person contingency will be in place. Just like cryptic announcements, coming soon message.
Yeah.
But they did say, if I recall, that it's going to be some select developers and students that would be brought into Apple Park, and they'd be able to do not only the live of the event as well as the State of the Union, and probably doing some coding stuff. So to bringing in a lot of the folks that are part of that. So
yeah. And for people who don't know, every single year there are all of these ridiculous predictions made for WWDC. Oh, this is where they're going to announce the new 32-inch iMac, and this is where they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And it's like, everyone just cool your jets, okay? It's a developers conference.
Right.
Which means that the major focus will be on upcoming changes to all of the major OS releases, including the Mac OS, iOS, iPad OS, Watch OS, and TV OS.
Software.
And that's what this is for. Every single year when WWDC is over, you have all of these guys, and it's mostly guys that are like hardware guys, that are like, this was the worst WWDC ever, because they didn't have the brand new 6.7-inch iPod speakers that I said and predicted that they were going to have. It's like, just shut up, okay? You're not going to get it. It's not a hardware event. But what it is going to have, there's going to be the keynote and a State of the Union address, which will cover the direction the company is going in, likely in a veiled fashion, as to not give away too much, which is Apple's customs. There will also be learning labs, access to core Apple employees involved with developing for their particular core operating systems, digital lounges. Now, have you ever like actually paid to be part of this, or no? Like me, you've just kind of sat on the edge and seen what was coming out?
It's always on the sidelines. There's to actually get into the event, it's like $2,500 or something, like, to be, for the developers. That's what it was. But now they're offering it for free because it's virtual. If anything, what this is doing by continuing this to be virtual is the fact that you're going to get more of the 2.5 or 3 million developers that are out there to be involved, because many of them are from around the world, and they don't have the expense to travel. To travel into at Apple in California. So I think this is a great idea that Apple's doing, and I think they've done such a great job already with the way they're doing their presentations when they record them, even when they have their announcements and events. They're starting to see, this might be just fine. And you can do things virtually. People can go into rooms, during the State of the Union. You watch that, and then they have breakout sessions throughout the week. I mean, a lot of conferences have been doing that. It's a type of conference, unlike CES, where people like to be in person to actually physically touch things. This is a software conference. There's really nothing really physical to touch in most cases. So I think this is going to work out fine for them. I can't imagine they're not going to not continue on doing this. So maybe partially. We've talked to other developers like our friend Jim Ray.
Mhm.
We have a Mac Voices Live. He
Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes, good plug. And he says he likes the in-person interaction. I think a lot of these developers do because they have that alternate conference called AltConf. They were wondering maybe they might still do it. The COVID is kind of tailed on, but it's starting to come back a little bit here. So hard to say how comfortable people are going to be traveling and being in person, doing those kind of conferences. But we'll see. CES did it, and they continued with it, but the attendance was
greatly reduced,
way down. So
did you go to it this year?
No, I did not. Mm-mm.
Would you be willing to go to it again?
If it's safer, I will. As this pandemic continues to go away, and somewhat. I might feel safer doing it, but
I've actually never been to Vegas other than going through the airport, just someplace else.
Although we have MacStock coming up, so we'll probably be doing that too. So.
MacStock is going to be in Vegas?
Oh, it's going to be in Woodstock, Illinois.
Oh, okay. Just checking. I was kind of like getting excited there. Whoa, MacStock in Vegas. I love it. MacStock West. That's what we'll call it.
Yeah.
One of the things that having a more virtual presence as compared to having everyone available, all of their engineers and developers there working directly for Apple has been it's been easier to have a lot more localized content to engage with attendees from like all over the world in a way that's just not possible. Even if you have 5,000 people from all over the world, which you never could, coming into Apple Park and talking to the people that work there at Apple, right. You're not going to get that kind of one-on-one or even the ability to, if you have a room that's going to talk about something to do with iOS and there's enough room in wherever that is to hold 250 to 300 people, that basically means that about 75% of those people are going to be pretty far away from whoever it is that's speaking. Whereas when you have a virtual room, everyone is there right up close. You can see them. You can see what they're doing. All of the information that's going to be coming up on screens behind them can be done in such a way that you can easily see it and interact with everything that's going on that you can't do with a conference where you are physically there, even if being physically there might feel better.
Right. It's human interaction, in-person interaction. That's what I think a lot of people miss. And I don't say I blame them. Some people there are very, in this industry, I gotta say they're kind of introverted. So that's, this probably works out good for them. But there's plenty of us like you and I and many others of our friends and others that like to go to conferences and like to see each other and have the in-person interaction. So yeah, it's been a challenge the last 2 years, with this pandemic and trying to, do conferences and do things that we, we're so used to being able to do. And yeah.
So. Yeah. And speaking of MacStock, it was a lot of fun to get back into Woodstock, Illinois, even in the limited way that we did last July. And has Mike, I guess the last thing I heard from Mike, and we'll do a little plug here for MacStock, was that he was planning on having it back at the McHenry Community College again this year. So if you've been to MacStock in the past, and I believe he's going to limit the number of tickets that are available so that we can still kind of socially distance depending on what's going on at the time. Right. If you've been to MacStock in the past and you'd like to go again, don't sleep on getting tickets for it when they're announced for sale, because chances are, unless you get in relatively early, you may or may not be able to get an attendee ticket early on. And, and again, there's pretty much everything that Mike has been doing for MacStock for the last 2 years is probably going to play out again this year in the virtual space, but it's not the same thing. And MacStock, and I'm not trying to compare MacStock with WWDC because it's no way is it the same thing. MacStock is an enthusiast's kind of event where it's not just the information that you're going to get from the great speakers that he always manages to put up there, but it's also getting together with like-minded people. Sometimes the stuff going on after the event is just as good, if not better, than the stuff that was going on during the event, because there's barbecues and there's live bands and there's like all these different things that Mike has arranged for over the years. And it's just so much fun. So keep an eye on the various, I don't even know what the website is this year, or what's the
MacStockConferenceandExpo.com.
Okay.
He did a video. He's already got announcements of who is going to be speaking. Yours truly will be speaking, as well as Chuck Joyner, Jay Miller, Mike Schmitz, Dave Hamilton's going to speak as well.
Nice.
So we've got some good speakers lined up already. So his next live stream is going to be on April 12th as we record this, and he'll have some of the more updated announcements where we're going to be here. So he's got to finalize some of the other speakers, and but this is looking like it's a go with the first conference. With just God forbid, God willing, there isn't any other huge outbreak that's going to limit things. But no, it's a blast. I mean, it's been too long since I've seen everybody. I mean, obviously, you and I got to see each other last year, and at the virtual conference, albeit it's a very small.
With my bag of mics.
Yeah, with all the mics you brought. And,
so stupid.
And
dumb.
So that's what's going on with that. But MacStock, Mike is planning on having another live stream again, like I said, April 12th, and check that out. You can be able to watch it.
I'll likely be out in the lunchroom with full podcasting setup for no particular reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
So. All right, I think that is going to do it for that particular topic. So are you nodding your head, Dave?
Yes.
He is nodding his head.
Hit it. Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
It's time for
Gaz's tip.
Well, it's not Gaz's tip this week. It's Guy's tip. If you want to save any photo that you might receive in messages quickly and easily, all you have to do is hit the little share icon just to the right of the image. That's the icon that looks like a square with a down-facing arrow in it. And from there, it will just drop it. Where's our heart? It will just drop the image into Photos, and it won't even open the app in the process. So it's not like it's going to take away a lot of real estate from you. It's just going to say, oh, you want this image over in Photos. Done. So easy. And I think that's the tip. Don't you think so?
I think it is.
Yeah, lots of head nodding going on here.
Hit it. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
So there we go. And it's all working this week. I had to make the last couple of weeks. I've had a lot of problems with getting Farrago to work through Loopback into StreamYard and into Hindenburg, which is where I record the audio. And I finally got fed up with trying to figure it out, and I just wiped out that entire Loopback little, I don't even know what you call it. It's not a session. The Loopback device that I had made that I've been using for a while, made a brand new one. Everything is working great. I'm so happy, and I won't have it for next week. Yeah. As always, if you would like to help out the various organizations that are helping the Ukraine in these terrible times, There will be links in the show notes to a timeout.com list for 8 different ways that you can help the people of Ukraine right now. There'll be links to the Ukrainian Red Cross as well as Doctors Without Borders. So if there is anything that you can give, please do so. And it will really, really help out the various causes that are trying to help the poor people that are dealing with just a nightmare right now in the Ukraine. Dave, do
Yes.
you have something that you would like to tell the users about this week?
My headphones. Okay. Yes, I did. And we did talk about at the beginning of the show. I am wearing them. As for those who are bravely watching us on YouTube. Rode
You
came out with,
poor people.
Rode came out with a new pair of headphones for the first time ever. It's the NTH-100 professional over-the-ear headphones. And they're truly professional in the truest sense, and not at a high price, only $149. So it's very, very reasonably priced. Couple of the things that stand out is that I mentioned that the cord that plugs into the earphone, it can actually on either side, you can move it to either side, which is really awesome. So it gives you.
Do you know of any other companies that do that? I
haven't
think
seen
of
anybody.
any.
No, I haven't seen anybody. So
It's brilliant.
it's just probably one of the awesome things. They even give you because it matches with the Rodecaster Pro. Here's the little bag kit here. Get the little clips that'll match the colors.
Oh,
of the,
yeah. Because you've got 4 headphone inputs, right? Into
right. Mm-hmm.
the Roadcaster, the Rodecaster Pro.
Easy to put it in, and then the 1/8-inch mic, 1/8-inch adapter that came with it, which is great.
Very nice.
But the big thing that really stands out to it is its comfort. It's got a Alcantara headband cushion at the top, and then the ear cups are just phenomenally soft, as well as they have cool tech in the gel, so it keeps it cool. So people always complain it gets very sweaty when you're wearing them for a long period of time. I've been wearing these for almost 2 hours, probably an hour and a half now, and I've worn them for a lot longer. You were talking about the frequency response. They're 5 hertz through to 35 kilohertz.
Do they have a graph? Do they show the graph for it?
I think so. Yeah, I put that link in the notes there. I don't know if you think it shows a graph, but it shows the specifications, and the impedance is 32 ohms. So which is really,
pretty much any like audio interface along those lines will play it at full volume.
Yeah.
I'm looking at
cranked this up. I've cranked this up, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm not seeing I
don't see a graph.
No. That's too bad. I would have liked to have seen it.
Though,
because these are meant as kind of a competitor to like the Audio Technica ATH 50X and 70X, as well as the Sony MDR 7506s, and these are all studio quality headphones with a relatively flat frequency response, so that you hear basically what was actually recorded as compared to something that's flavored or colored by other headphones. And I so want one of these. I really, really do. And I may just pick up a pair, even though I don't really need them, because my Sonys are working out just fine. But I get something in my head, and that's pretty much it. I need to go out. I need to go out and do something about it. It's so awful. All right.
Yeah. They're great. They're great headphones. Check them out.
If you use Safari, then this won't matter that much to you. But 1Password is practically at this point the de facto standard for password management, available to you almost anywhere from practically any device if you trust that device enough to remotely log into it. 1Password is the password manager that I use outside of Safari. And if all you use is Safari, you honestly, you probably don't really need it, though it can be useful to have a password manager that you can easily view those passwords as compared to just, being able to plug it into a website. to be able to view it is good for other devices that you may be trying to get into. So if 1Password is the password manager that I use and have been using for a long time, I do trust them, and they've worked out very well. So that's my app pick this week. If you've done an iTunes review or some kind of review for this show in the podcatcher of your choice, if you let me know about it, send me an email and point to that particular review. I will go and see it. It doesn't even have to be a good review. You could tell me that my feet stink. I don't care. And I will send you a Woo tee. Do you know what a Woo tee is, Dave? I think I've sent you a Woo tee, haven't I?
I did get one, yes.
And it changed your life in so very many ways. So could you imagine continuing your existence on this earth without having a Woo tee? I don't think it's not even worth contemplating.
Yeah.
And for people who want to know what a Woody is, it's a big W, big O, big T, little I, little E. That's a Woody, and that's how it's spelled. So all you have to do to get one is just do a review. Let us know that you've done it, and we'll send you one. It's amazing. No audio feedback this week. Greg, you're slipping. Slipping, dude. I'm just kidding. Greg has been like a constant over the last couple of years for really getting us some good quality bumpers that are very insulting to Gaz and myself, which is kind of what we're looking for.
Sure.
If you would like to help support the show, you can go to patreon.com/MacParrot. You can go to coffee, ko-fi.com/MacParrot, or you can pay a pal at paypal.me/MacParrot. It's all you have to do. Now, Dave, if people wanted to get a hold of you and say, what the hell were you thinking when you agreed to come on this show, how would they do that?
They would do that by going to my website, In Touch with iOS, at intouchwithios.com. I've got my YouTube channel, youtube.com/DaveG65. You also can buy me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. Made real easy. And I'm on Twitter at DaveG65. And thanks as always, guys. I've really had a great time here.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. See, it's no good for me to be talking to myself because it becomes like a recursive loop. And eventually I just get there and just say the same thing over and over and over again for hours on end. And who wants to hear that? So if you want to get a hold of me, it's so very, very easy. You would send me an email to guy@mymac.com. You would send me also an email by going to podcasts@vertshark.com. Vertshark.com is the website where you can see all of the odds and all of the vids. My Twitter handles are both MacParrot and VertShark. That would be rah and over there on the Twitters. Feedback at mymac.com is another place that you can go to leave us crazy feedback. Tim would see it. Let us know about it. If you want to get a hold of Gaz, his email address is gaz@mymac.com. That's GAZ. Cars. Then he's also on the Twitters as Gazmaz, G-A-Z Cars, M-A-Z Cars. He's over there on the Twitters. You can reach both of us on the Twitters, Guy and Gaz, G-U-Y-Y-A-N-D-D, G-A-Z Cars, over there on the Twitters. And Dave, we have a Skype telephone number. We do.
You do. Wow.
It's crazy, technology at its finest, Skype. Yes, indeed. And that Skype telephone number is 1 or +1 outside of the United States, 703-436-9501. That number again is 1 or +1 703-436-9501. Or if ones and zeros just make you insane, you can take it off of the beginning of that Skype number. Just go right to the Skype application and just dial 703-436-9501. Now, I'd like to say, number one, thank you to Dave Ginsburg from In Touch with iOS. Find out more at intouchwithios.com and the website and the podcast that he records on Thursday night, usually with Warren Sklar and Jeff Gamet. You can find that. You record that live on YouTube, right?
Yes. You just go to youtube.com/DaveD65. You'll see the live feed.
And then like, share, subscribe, and you will get notifications the next time that they're getting ready to do one live. You'll just know right away. It's so nice. It's so easy to do.
It is.
I would like to say thank you, not just to Dave for being here today, but to everyone who downloads and listens to the MyMac.com podcast, or else. We really appreciate the fact that you have come here to do so. And Dave, I think we're good enough. I do.
You are.
Something that I felt for a very, very long time. I think we're smart enough. Okay, that's a relatively new thing. And that doggone it, woof, wolf, woof, woof, wolf, woof, people like us. Now, Dave, underneath where it says silly language,
oh, here we go again.
There is a series of words. You don't have to get it exactly right. As a matter of fact, I can pretty much guarantee that you will not get it exactly right. And that's the point. Go.
Indo Palmalaka Padermorzia Trapephalazia Nargia Chazis. Yeah, I just can't keep going. Zahakayaka Prinachinia Cheesni Azianachia Sisho Viziu Odiono Pashiniva Waita.
It's like you were from there originally, Dave.
Yes, it was.
It really is.
I can't believe you even did that.
Now, I should have had a dad joke set up. Do you know a good dad joke?
I don't know. I'll tell my adult.
Once upon a time, a man walked into a bar.
Was it a dad?
He had a bag of tomatoes under each of his arms. He walks up to the bartender and says, "I would like a grasshopper." The bartender says, "Never on Tuesday."
That's
so great. Okay.
Get my rib
and
so you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on. Go on home and go home. So you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on. Go on home and I go home.